Hey there, this is Christine Landl, and I am with my sister, my best friend, my business partner, Jennifer Ream, and we are so excited to be here on yet again another platform that we are creating and another chapter, another piece to our journey.
The Vibe Well podcast. This is Jennifer Ream. So excited to be here with you guys. Our intention for this podcast is all about sharing our love for all things wellness, holistic wellness that is. And we are here to uplift, plant some seeds, and support you on your wellness journey. We've always loved being able to be out there with our community, sharing all the things that we learn. And as we grow and learn new things, we love to put them out there, and maybe they'll plant some seeds for you and help you along your journey. So here we are. Let's get started.
Hey there, this is Christine.
And this is Jennifer. Welcome to episode 1 of the Vibe Well, Raise Your Vibe podcast, the unscripted version of Jennifer and Christine, the get real, the lay it all out, and really just be able to share with you some of the things that we talk about between the two of us. Mm-hmm. And we're best friends, sisters, business partners, and we are in communication all the time, and especially in the world of 2020, 2021, and there's lots to talk about.
Yeah, so we will not be sharing our texts with you, that's for sure.
No, but we will be getting deep into what we talk about, and we're here, just to really share what we've learned and share what things have worked for us, getting through these days, these times. But we thought we'd start out with episode 1, if you don't know us, and letting you know kind of who we are and what we do, what we're passionate about, and why we even wanted to have a podcast.
Which we are so excited about. And like Jen said, this is the authentic us. And, we wear so many hats throughout the day. And sometimes they're mom hats, sometimes they're business owner hats, sometimes they're wife, sometimes they're girlfriend. So many different hats, and that's what makes all of us who we are, and that's how we all learn from each other too. It's so important to see the whole puzzle. And so anyway, with that said, just a little bit about us so that you can understand our journey and where we've been and why we are here today and doing this. And like we said, we do love to share, and it's been our lifelong journey to what we learn. We want to share it. It's intuitively how we've always been. And except when we were younger, things were a little different, the dynamics.
Mm-hmm. You would not know we were best friends if you saw us back in the day.
Actually, Jen would chase me through the house because I would sneak into her room and take her clothes, wear them, spill something on it, hide it.
Stuff it in her trunk.
That was like months, so you couldn't find that shirt, I remember. And so she had a lock on her door, and, of course I knew where the key was, and she did not know I knew where the key was. But she always was the one who, she would earn her money, and she'd go buy something super nice with it, from a J. Crew sweater. And I was like, take me to Gap and hit the sale rack, and I'd get it home, and I didn't like it, but I always loved her clothes. So,
and if you can't tell, I'm the oldest. Yeah. Jennifer is the oldest, and Christine is the youngest by 24 months.
Yeah. So we're almost exactly 2 years apart in 8 days, and both Scorpios, which you will come to find if you're into that we are true and true Scorpios through and through.
Yes.
So anyway, it's funny because as kids, I was definitely the more playful, get outside, playing kickball, came in at the end of the day, dirty. All I cared about was being outside and playing with my friends and running around, riding my bike. And Jen was typically inside cleaning or rearranging her room and organizing. And not one thing was out of place. And I can assure you she has not changed.
No, it brings me joy. What can I say?
Yeah.
I own that now.
Yeah, I know. And it's an awesome trait that I admire and often want to hire her to help me at my house to do some organizing. Not that I'm terribly unorganized, but it doesn't
Bring you as much joy.
It does not bring me joy. The after effects bring me joy, 100%, but not doing it definitely does not do that. So actually, my husband and I we're so alike that we would both be the ones wanting to play outside kickball game with our kids rather than doing any of that stuff. So it's just funny. That's just how we were, and it's like what we brought into this life that we're doing now, because we are sort of like, we have so many common traits like interests and things like that, but we are also the yin and the yang, and we balance each other out so perfectly, which is why what we do in today's world, it works so well for us. But just to I digressed a little bit, but we grew up in Flint and Flint, Michigan, yeah, and for basically our entire childhood and college years, and went to public school to start right in the Flint town, and then switched over to private school and went to right around junior high for both of us. And so then went on to high school in Flint, college in Flint. Jen had, not to speak for her, but I'll share a little bit of hers. Is she went to U of M Flint and got her BSN, became an RN. And I went to U of M Flint and got my bachelor's degree in business. So we definitely have those were two different things, but that's how we started our journey. And it was through that time in our life, really, which was super challenging. I think it's a really challenging time of life for anyone at that age. We went through our parents' divorce when I was 18, Jen was 20. And God bless our parents, because we supported that, because we knew that their lifelong journey was challenging in itself together. And so we knew it was time. And that doesn't make it any easier. It was a very challenging time in our life, and we kind of both got thrown into figure it out.
Yep.
Figure out how to fend for yourself and to
be independent women.
Yeah, be independent. And
which our mom had always taught us from the get-go. She always wanted us to be super independent, and she planted those seeds early on. So as difficult as those years were, they also made us who we are, and we can see the strength that we have, that we developed during that time, 100%.
Both from experiencing those really difficult hardships, really, and watching our mom get through that, and our dad, both of them. It was really, obviously, very difficult for them as well. So that was a critical time in our life that shaped really, really who we are today, and the strength that we get, the therapy we had to work through, the trauma that we had to.
It's probably what prepared us for entrepreneurship, because nobody can prepare you for entrepreneurship. You either have that drive and you have that motivation and strength to get through those difficult days, or you don't. So it definitely helped in that respect. Now, looking back, you can really see that.
Yeah, and I think that's that time of your life too. You feel like you have to have everything figured out. I think if we see that now with our own kids. Jen's son is 19, but with even our staff that has worked for us, and just people that we know personally, that is just a difficult time. You feel like you have to know what you're doing, and you feel like you have to figure out your entire life's journey at 18, 19, 20, 21. And that's just, we can attest to the fact that is just not the way it works, even though you feel at that time that's the way that it should be. Mm-hmm. So it was really, like I said, transformative years for us at that moment. And we both graduated from U of M Flint and quickly got married and had kids. And we're probably, Jen, you for sure were one of the first ones to, out of your friend group,
100%
have kids.
And young. Yep. I was young.
Mm-hmm. And so for me, kind of the same after I graduated a couple years later, married and have kids. And so now it's kind of fun because our kids are getting, we've got teenagers and a preteen, and it's super fun to be a young mom of teens and be able to connect with them. And So we got married and had kids, and it was really important to us to also have our children grow up together. And my oldest and Jen's youngest were incredibly close growing up, and so that was always super fun. We were always doing things together. Our husbands at the time were close, and then Jen's life, and I'll let you kind of go into that.
Yeah, I
Changed
think
at that moment.
we both have. So Christine has 3 kids, and I have 4. I have a blended family. I have 2 boys from my first marriage, and I have 2 bonus babies from my marriage that I'm in now. And like Christine said, I went to nursing school, graduated from U of M Flint with a BSN, and right from the get-go, I knew that traditional, conventional nursing and medicine never fit well with me. It was like the puzzle piece never quite was right. I definitely always from the get-go had this passion and desire for holistic health in medicine. And even when I was in nursing school, I met this instructor who was teaching healing hands on the side. And I will never forget, out of all of my nursing schooling and clinicals, she made the most impact on me because she was doing something different. And I could see the work she was doing was very transformative, but it was so unconventional. And I will never forget it because it really was the start for me of really diving into alternative healing. And that's where my passion lies. And so I did leave traditional nursing when I had my first son, and never really went back. I went back here and there, but always never felt like it was the right fit for me. So I went through a divorce when my boys were younger, and that was, probably one of the most, besides my parents' divorce and things like that, was the hands down the most difficult thing I have ever been through, because you don't think that will ever happen. And so during that time, I turned to meditation and mindfulness, and that I can hands down say was the thing that got me through that time, helped heal my relationship with my ex-husband now, who is a very dear friend and who I'm very close with, and have a great co-parenting relationship with. So I don't think any of that would have been possible had I not had this spiritual practice, meditation practice that I'm sure we will get into in future podcasts, because that's one of the things that is very important to us and part of our daily life. But I got remarried and have 4 kids now, and got into holistic health coaching with Christine. And we've just been on a long journey of that. And I kind of bring to the table a little bit of the spiritual side of the meditation. That's where my passion lies. And Christine can share a little bit of her journey in nutrition and what she has now done with her education, and now what we do with Vibe Well, which is our brick and mortar space where we share health and wellness, food, coaching, and just an overall, I'd say, positive vibe for our community. So,
yeah. And I was thinking, just to go back a little bit, I was thinking about how you were, when you were in the midst of your nursing in the conventional means hospital and then doctor's office, how kind of physically ill you were for a while because you just weren't in alignment. I think looking back at it, knowing.
I will never forget working my first job after graduating from college. And I woke up one morning and could not turn my neck, could not turn my head to the right, could not turn my head to the left. I was in so much physical pain, and I got to work, and I was the office RN, and she was like, you need to go straight to therapy. And physical therapy. So I went straight over to physical therapy, and they were like, this is just stress. This is stress. And it was the first time I really connected the dots with, I'm not in alignment. Like, this is not where I'm meant to be. Mm-hmm. And now looking back, and now having coached and, done this work for so long, you can really see the manifestation, and we pick up on it so much. But yeah, that's a really good point. I'll never forget. I've never had that happen again, because obviously I've had things happen, but not to that extreme where you literally cannot turn your head to the left or the right.
Yeah, and that's usually what happens when you miss all of the little signs along the way that
100%.
You aren't supposed to be where you are, or you're not supposed to be in the situation that you're in. So it's all of those whispers and nudges that tried to help us in the beginning, but when you're not truly listening, or and at that time you weren't really tuned into that.
And I'd say, yeah, at that age, you don't
Yeah.
know. And I feel like that's one of the things that you and I get so passionate about is that it's letting these 20-year-olds know now, like, to what those signs mean. Like when you're having these physical manifestations in your body of dis-ease, then you know, like, there's something out of alignment, and it can be emotional, it can be mental, it can be any of those things. And so I think you and I, we talk about that with our team, we know at Vibe Well, and our families and our kids. And it's a big part of, I think, what we recognize now is important to pay attention to.
Yeah, we've just learned it in so many instances. We still do. It's part of the growth process, and it's how we evolve. But now it's something, because we are constantly tuned in with how our body feels and tuned in with how to do it, and recognizing the signs, which there are many. It's how you know, and it's how you know you need to go deeper and do some work. So,
Right.
yeah, and so that's just how we get where we are, is based on our journey and our life experiences and how we evolve and how we grow, and knowing that these experiences are there for a reason.
Yeah, and I think you should share a little bit about your physical manifestation, because I mean, that was a pivotal time in, really, it changed the course of our work together, because we were in business together before, but we did interior design for a little while. So you'll see we've done a lot of businesses together, out of just finding our joy and it just being in the flow with life, really. But ultimately, our work now, that we will be our life's work for sure, is this holistic health and wellness. And that was in part due to, a big part was my, I would say, dark night of the soul time when I went through my divorce, and then also your physical health. And I think that's important to talk about.
Well, and it's really, again, started back in that time when it was, when I look back on my life, there's, obviously there's pivotal moments throughout, but for me, my young 20s, and I had so many stomach and gut issues that were awful. I really learned to mask them with conventional medicine that I kept in my purse on a regular basis. So every time I ate, I really had to make sure I knew where the bathroom was, and I had to, pop some Imodium. I mean, it was pretty severe, and I diagnosed myself long afterwards that I probably had IBS, but it was that's when the health issues for me started, were my young 20s. And what was really pivotal again was when my son was born, who's now 16, and he had an anaphylactic reaction when he was 8 months old, when he was a baby, and to a sliver of cheese while we were having dinner. Actually, Jen was there with me and our parents, and he literally blew up like an elephant. And at that time, you didn't hear anyone who had food allergies. Literally, no one didn't know anyone. And so we rushed him to the local hospital. And by the time we got there, his lips were swollen up to his nose, eyes were swollen shut. He was completely I'll never forget it. So anyway, long story short, he was diagnosed with about 7 different severe food allergies. So all the top ones that you can think of, including beef, pork, not wheat. So that was the one that we didn't, but dairy was one. And thankfully I breastfed him until he was 1. And he might be mortified that I shared that, but I mean, I doubt
he'll be listening.
All 3 of my kids, true, very true. All 3 of my kids I did. So anyway, it was that moment that I had to become a label reader. So once he became a toddler, I had to become a label reader. And I would say leading up to this moment, we had a pretty hybrid way of eating. We were a combination of standard American diet and, grew up on homemade foods as well. But we also grew up on a lot of sugar and
fast food,
a lot of fast food. And so, didn't have a healthy gut, but neither now did my son, who was dealing with food allergies. So his reactions were anaphylactic. They were life-threatening. So as you can see, we had a lot of fear that we lived on a daily basis. And happy to say that he's starting to outgrow some of those. We've had many scares throughout the last 15 years with hospital rushes and EpiPens, and that's a whole nother episode. So yeah, it really is. And And so about a year after that, after his diagnosis, I was starting to have a lot of health issues myself. And when you don't really know at the time if it's because you have children, or if the fatigue from having children and not being able to function, or if there's something wrong. So I was diagnosed with hypothyroidism, later diagnosed with Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune disease. And so years and years of conventionally treating that and never feeling well for about 6 years, I began to dig into it myself. And so long story short, we're through my own health journey with myself, healing my symptoms. And actually, I guess because they say that there is no cure for Hashimoto's, I am in remission. I have no antibodies any longer. And so I manage my thyroid, and through diet, nutrition, eliminating things that don't work well for me. And it's a constant evolving cycle for me, and just keeping up on my health. But it is truly where my passion lies, both with my son and with my own health journey, and just basically, I would say advocating for yourself. And that's what it comes down to. And there is no one size fits all. And there is also, you need a team. And so that's what was so important to Jen and I, is that for me, I ended up going back to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, which is IIN for short, and I became a holistic health coach. And then I just recently, actually a month ago, passed my nationally board certified exam to become, yeah, I know, it was quite the journey, to be a holistic health and wellness coach as well. So Jen and I both have a love for nutrition. Both of us have shared our journeys together. And so we fell in love with the entire mind, body, spirit connection. And so that is where we are. But I have to say, we started out creatively in the interior design field. I just feel like people probably would never guess that.
No.
If they didn't know us. And so we did that for 10 years. We had that business.
Yeah. I mean, it really came from, I think, just needing an outlet from being young moms, and also using that creative side. And and like Christine said, looking back at our childhood, I literally, that's what I loved. I would decorate my room and organize it. And so that's definitely one of my lifelong passions too. And I don't see that ever going away. It just more fuels your the left brain, and, is fun. It's a fun thing for us.
Yeah. So we did that, just as a means to get out of the house. We were stay-at-home moms really when our children were little.
Yeah.
And then, after that became our meditation cushion business, which is a whole other podcast. And then how that came to be. And then, so we spent many years trying to get that off the ground and running, and it was awesome and such a fun journey. That led to our health coaching business, which, so Om Sweet Om was our meditation cushion business. Then we became Oso Sisters for our health coaching.
Yeah, and we kind of also shared, we didn't have a podcast platform, but back then we would get on, we did create videos, we would share on Facebook at the time and do lives. And, we loved getting on then and sharing our journey and helping other people just organically. We weren't even, it did become a business, but it didn't start out that way. Definitely.
And I think
it was more about sharing.
Yeah. Everyone was asking, what are you doing? Or how do you do this? And I know you've been through this. So what have you done? And you know what, when you put in 10 years of research into things, you want to share that because you really want to help people to not have to go through all of that or figure it out the hard way.
Right.
So if we can help a little bit on that end and eliminate some suffering, and as far as that goes, that's where our passion really was.
Yeah. And then we started getting little God winks along the way that a brick and mortar space might be coming to us. Christine, the seed was planted with her. She could see it really clearly. There was a need that wasn't being met in our community as far as a fast, casual, healthy option. And healthy for us means organic. And we were in Chicago for my mom's birthday, and we stumbled across this building that it wasn't a juice bar, but it had that community concept, and it had a little bar in it, kind of a coffee style bar, and it had just coaching and that was for me the turning point where I could see what Christine was talking about. I could see now what the space was going to look like. We had no idea how, when that was going to happen. And then one day Christine said, we got to do it. The time is right now. And she's like, I'm just totally feeling it. And she drew Vibe Well on a napkin with a carrot as the eye. And that was the start of it. She texted me and I was like, yes, I love that. I love that logo. And so we bootstrapped it from the get-go. Didn't really have anybody to say they would give us some money to open, not these two women give them some money to open a brick and mortar space. So
that was a journey in itself.
It really was.
It was difficult. I mean, I literally called one place to help us get funding, a local place, and could not get a call back, called several times, left messages. So I asked my husband to call and he got immediate call back.
Yeah.
And it was
crazy.
like, and I'm not kidding. It was those roadblocks that we ran into a lot, trying to get financing for a startup alone where you have nothing to show.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So we made it happen. It was so now saying the third hardest thing I've been through, because I have all the other things I've already said, but that for sure was like hands down. We kind of joke now that we have PTSD from starting
from opening. Once we opened, leading up to it was so fun and challenging, but so fun. But once we opened our doors, and we called it a soft opening, people did, however, wait like 8 months for us to open because the build out took quite a while. But we literally had a line out the door for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And we laugh about it now. And it's a running joke that we just needed to make sure we had bananas.
Yeah.
Because we were running to the store 5 times a day between Jen and I because we were running out of bananas because you don't know how much to get.
And I was working another nursing job at the time. So splitting between running to Vibe Well, running to see a patient, running back to the Vibe Well. It literally chaos. And Christine, her kids are younger, so she's juggling all of that. Our kids and our families were just like, oh my gosh, what is happening right now? Where are our moms?
I mean,
and
we
where
had
are
no
our
idea.
wives? Yeah, we had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. Yeah.
We didn't know what we were doing. Mm-mm. So we literally didn't have processes in place other than what we could imagine might need to be in place. But it took us the first 1.5 to 2 years to really solidly get the systems in place. And it's,
and we were so keen on, we just wanted to do everything right. Like we're a food establishment, so we have to get it right. There's no room for error when it comes to that. So we were just so, consumed with, we got to get this, we got to have this down. We got to know what we're doing. We don't want to open too early. We want to make sure everybody knows how to be safe. And, there was just so much that went into it that when you open a food establishment that you have to think about. And then came the part, well, okay, are we going to ever make some money here? Yeah. How do we get our cogs in place? And how do we get our labor back in check? And so all the stuff that you just don't know until you know, and you don't know until you do it. And here we are. So Vibe Well's been open almost 3 years. And we can, finally say that we're in a really good place, and it's, we're learning and growing still, but it's really in a good place, and it's exciting to see how far we've come.
Yeah. And it was so important to us to not just be another juice bar. That was not something that we wanted. Wanted it to be an experience, and we wanted it to cover the entire mind, body, spirit, soul connection. And we wanted that part to be known. So we wanted our customers to walk through the door and to feel welcome. And we wanted them to leave feeling loved and also uplifted and have their vibe raised. Because so that's why we paid a lot of attention to what it looked like. That's why we pay a lot of attention to how our customers are treated. And so it just sets us apart. And the wellness space was so cool in the beginning. I mean, we've obviously had some curveballs this past year with the pandemic. And sorry, I had to throw that one in there. And so
that's another topic.
That's an episode itself. But so, I mean, we had a ton of curveballs this last year, and we had to close our wellness studio, which really was a space that set us apart. And we had to make some, difficult decisions. We ended up cutting our studio in half this past year, square foot wise, and adding on a kitchen in the back, which is now so amazing. And it was part of the growth process that we wouldn't have been able to foresee. But we still have this amazing, cute little wellness studio that was meant to be for meditation, both self-guided and instructor-led. mindfulness. We've had mindfulness for children in grade school and for teens. And so just many private classes. And we really wanted that to be a community space. And it was. It's different now because of what the situation that we're in. But that's
moving
another
forward,
piece
it'll
that
be
sets
a
us
big
apart.
part. Yeah, it'll be a big part of us. So that's kind of us in a nutshell. And that's kind of who we are and how we got started and how Vibe Well came to be and why we're sitting here right now recording our first podcast.
So fun.
So fun. So we are grateful that you tuned in and made it this far for episode 1. And we are just buckle up because there's some episodes coming up that we know you're going to get a lot out of. It might be new information to you. It might be something you've heard before, but maybe not with our spin on it. So we are thrilled and excited to finally get to talk about some of these things that we feel are super important, especially today in April of 2021.
Yeah.
So
make sure you subscribe and stay tuned on our social media, vibewell_lifestyle on Instagram and Vibewell on Facebook if you're a Facebooker. And that's how we'll be in our newsletter too. You can sign up for our newsletter on our website, vibewell.com.
And you can reach Christine and I both at drinkjuice@vibewell.com.
Yep. So you can stay on top of it, stay tuned. And we're always evolving, always changing. And once we know better, we do better. So then we have to share it.
Yep. Amen to that. All right.
Thanks again.
Thanks, y'all.
Much love.
Thanks again, friends, for joining us today on our latest podcast episode. We love sharing this with you. So please share the love if you feel called to all your friends and family.
And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. You don't want to miss out on what we're going to talk about next. It's always so juicy.
And of course, you can find us on social, Instagram, Vibe Well Lifestyle, and Vibe Well on Facebook. Love y'all.
And if you're in town, make sure you stop by and see us at Vibe Well too.
Yeah, we would love to see your cute face.
See you soon.
Bye.